All right, you guys, it is Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni Day. Finally, to all of the women out there that are watching, no matter what you do in life, you never, ever, ever go full Amber Heard. The conclusion here, I have said this since before, long before this ever broke out between her and Justin Baldoni. Blake Lively is not a good person, that she has proven herself not to be a kind person, okay? And that's largely due to the fact that she is a modern feminist, and so she has to create struggle where there just isn't any, okay? She has a track record of being difficult to work with, from Armie Hammer, who got fired from Gossip Girl because he said during a dinner that she was a bitch, regarding Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, when I just recognize that they are up on their high horses and that they potentially treat people very badly and that really they're bored and rich. Another circumstance that made me see right through Ryan Reynolds and the kind of person that he is, when despite being friends with Joe Alwyn, who dated Taylor Swift for 5 years. She's best friends with Blake Lively. Ryan and Blake and two other of her friends all staged a mass unfollowing of Joe Alwyn like they were 13 years old. Okay, Ryan, you're 48 years old. Grow up. Literally grow up. I have not seen a case so open and shut in my life, and the more that I read and the more details that I get into, I'm just shocked at how many lies were told, okay? This is about that narrative that I think they instantly started spinning. I believe that they are going to be able to prove in court that this was personal. Ryan Reynolds versus Justin Baldoni, all of the evidence points to that.
The drama surrounding Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, and the New York Times just got a whole lot messier. Buckle up, because what we're about to reveal will have you questioning everything you thought you knew. New court filings have unearthed a shocking timeline, showing that the New York Times had been meticulously crafting their bombshell article about Baldoni for months before it was released. And here's the twist. It lines up almost perfectly with the exact timing of Blake Lively's Civil Rights Department CRD complaint. Coincidence? That's what Baldoni's legal team is determined to find out. Could this have been a coordinated effort, a calculated media hit job meant to ensure maximum damage before Baldoni had a fair chance to defend himself? The connections are too compelling to ignore. From internal email leaks to metadata revealing a disturbing pre-planned release schedule, the puzzle pieces are fitting together in a way that raises serious ethical concerns.
Read through this website. It is two parts. One has the full amended complaint. The second, it is the timeline. It has not just Blake Lively's complaints, but answers to it. Blake and Ryan set out and used massive gaslighting tricks and bullying tactics to basically steal the movie.
He watched me breastfeed naked in my trailer. In context, when we saw text from her saying, "I'm breastfeeding in my trailer, come on over." She decided she wanted to take over and use the power of her fame and name and that of her husband, Ryan Reynolds, to bully Justin Baldoni into the fetal position.
The editors say it would be very hard for me to sit and watch the final film for the first time at the premiere. And Justin replies, "I haven't seen it either." The Baldoni cut scored significantly higher than Blake Lively's cut, and still Blake Lively's cut was the one that was chosen.
This isn't just another celebrity scandal. This is a high-stakes battle that could reshape how major publications operate when covering high-profile legal disputes. Let's break it all down and expose the intricate web behind the scenes. To understand the depth of this, we need to rewind the clock. Baldoni's legal team has released documents proving that Lively had been working behind the scenes for months to tarnish his reputation. According to court records, Lively delivered the CRD complaint to the Wayfarer parties over the Christmas holiday, a move that seemed calculated to maximize media attention. But instead of filing a civil lawsuit right away, she allegedly leaked the confidential complaint to the New York Times, ensuring that the story would reach the public first before Baldoni could properly respond. Court documents suggest that Lively and her team worked extensively with the New York Times journalists to shape the narrative against Baldoni, providing select messages and documents while omitting any context that contradicted her claims. This was part of what Baldoni's legal team is calling a coordinated effort to create an irreparable media firestorm before any evidence could be contested.
He was the producer through Wayfarer. He was the writer. He was also the star. She apparently did not read the book, so she didn't even know what color the character's hair was what her style was, anything. Instead, she wanted shoes that were hundreds of dollars. She could have pulled out of the movie, and she kept saying, I want this, and if you don't want this, then I can always leave. You've got 2 weeks to get another actress. And he's like, we did not have the money, and she knew that.
She started. She was the one through her PR agent who was dropping negative stories about Justin, not the other way around. She played with fire, and now she got burned. She's made herself into Amber Heard. We all see it. This was a massive disaster for her to unleash this PR campaign against him.
Now here's where things get really interesting. Tech-savvy users discovered something in the HTML source code of the New York Times article, a reference to a message embed generator that dated all the way back to October 31st, 2024. This suggests that work on the article, whether drafts, research, or coordination, was already well underway over 2 months before it was published. And wouldn't you know it, this was before Lively had even officially filed her CRD complaint. But what exactly does a message embed generator mean? Experts in digital forensics explain that such metadata references are typically associated with preloaded templates or structured content frameworks. This means that elements of the article, including key sections, embedded messages, and possibly even pre-written drafts, were likely prepared well in advance. This isn't just standard pre-reporting research. It points to a deliberate strategy of content shaping that aligns closely with Lively's eventual legal actions.
The second he said, no, just you, then everything started in earnest. The rewrites, the bad behavior, I want all my outfits to look like this. And they're saying, oh my God, this is really over budget.
She bullied her way to take over the movie and used her PR people to try and destroy Justin.
Additionally, further forensic analysis shows that multiple revisions to the article were made before it was published, some of which appear to align with dates when Lively's legal team was engaging in strategic public relations outreach. Could this suggest a coordinated effort between her team and journalists? Baldoni's legal team thinks so, and they're arguing that these connections establish a premeditated effort to frame the narrative long before any official accusations were public. Another red flag? The Wayfarer parties, which include Justin Baldoni and his company, were only given 14 hours to respond to the New York Times request for comment before the article dropped. 14 hours to counter months of alleged planning and coordination between Lively and the New York Times. That's not journalism, that's an ambush. To put this into perspective, major publications typically provide at least 24 to 48 hours for a response in complex investigative stories, particularly those involving legal matters. But in this case, the Wayfarer parties were left scrambling with barely enough time to issue a statement, let alone conduct a thorough rebuttal. Insiders revealed that Baldoni's legal team had been caught off guard, receiving the request at odd hours, with deadlines that made a full and fair response nearly impossible. This only adds fuel to the argument that the article was not just a neutral report, but a calculated takedown designed to land like a bombshell with little opportunity for correction or context. Furthermore, sources within Baldoni's camp claim that the questions they were sent by the New York Times already contained heavily biased language and assumptions, framing the narrative in a way that made it seem as though the allegations were fact rather than mere accusations. This suggests that the New York Times was less interested in presenting a balanced piece and more focused on driving a specific agenda. The timing of the article, the rushed deadline, and the apparent refusal to include exculpatory evidence all suggest a carefully orchestrated effort to inflict maximum damage while denying Baldoni a fair opportunity to defend himself. The Wayfarer parties now argue that this was not just a case of inadequate reporting. It was a coordinated media attack meant to amplify Lively's claims and cement a negative perception of Baldoni before he could set the record straight. But who was behind this article? Enter Megan Tuhey, the Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist known for her investigative work on Me Too scandals. According to Baldoni's lawsuit, Tuhey was instrumental in crafting the piece against him, despite glaring inconsistencies in Lively's claims. The lawsuit further contends that Tuhey had been in close and frequent communication with Lively's team for months, reportedly coordinating specific angles and timing for the release of the article in order to inflict the maximum reputational damage on Baldoni. Additionally, internal emails obtained through discovery indicate that Tuhey had received privileged information from Lively's representatives, some of which Baldoni's team argues was selectively edited to omit exculpatory evidence. Further complicating the ethical concerns is the assertion that Tuhey disregarded testimony from multiple sources who refuted Lively's claims and instead relied primarily on curated documents provided by Lively's legal team. Baldoni's attorneys argue that this kind of reporting crosses the line into advocacy journalism, where a journalist is no longer simply reporting on a case, but actively shaping the narrative to align with one side's interests. They claim that Tuhey's preemptive reach-out to Lively's team, coupled with the highly coordinated rollout of the article, suggests an effort to maximize media exposure and public outrage, before Baldoni had a fair chance to respond. Baldoni's legal team isn't just making wild accusations, they've backed up their claims with a 168-page timeline documenting how the New York Times worked in tandem with Lively's PR machine. The timeline meticulously details exchanges between journalists and Lively's representatives, revealing a pattern of selective information sharing that allegedly shaped the narrative in a biased manner. It includes communications suggesting that the New York Times reporters were provided with hand-picked text messages and curated statements meant to portray Baldoni in the worst possible light, while exculpatory evidence was deliberately withheld. Furthermore, the complaint states that drafts of the article underwent multiple iterations that coincided with key legal actions taken by Lively's team, indicating a level of coordination that goes beyond traditional journalism. This raises serious ethical questions about whether the newspaper was an independent observer or an active participant in a reputational takedown. If true, this could set a dangerous precedent for how high-profile disputes are handled in the media, blurring the lines between investigative reporting and strategic media manipulation. So, what happens now? Baldoni is suing the New York Times for $250 million, separate from his $400 million lawsuit against Lively and Ryan Reynolds. His team argues that the collusion between Lively and the media stripped away the legal shield she was relying on to protect herself from defamation claims, leaving her wide open to counteraction. But this lawsuit is about more than just financial compensation. It's about setting a legal precedent that could redefine the boundaries of ethical journalism and accountability in media. If Baldoni wins, this case could send shockwaves through the world of entertainment and journalism, forcing publications to rethink how they collaborate with publicists and legal teams before publishing explosive allegations. This legal battle is far from over, and with new evidence expected to emerge, the stakes continue to rise. Media analysts are already speculating about the potential fallout. Could the New York Times face industry-wide scrutiny? Could Lively and Reynolds see career repercussions if Baldoni's claims hold up in court? And what does this mean for other celebrities who may find themselves in similar situations in the future? One thing is certain, this isn't just about Baldoni or Lively. This case is about the power of the media, the ethics of storytelling, and whether justice will prevail in the court of law versus the court of public opinion. Stay tuned, because this fight is only getting started, and the truth may be more shocking than anyone expected.